5 signs a woman is protected by God from evil people. Biblical wisdom. In a world filled with deceit, betrayal, and spiritual warfare, many women wonder how they can be assured of God's divine protection. The Bible is filled with stories of God shielding his people, especially women, from the traps and schemes of evil individuals. A woman under God's protection does not simply walk through life without opposition. Rather, she is preserved and guarded in ways that are both visible and invisible. How can you tell if a woman is covered under this divine shield? Here are 5 signs, rooted in biblical wisdom, that indicate a woman is protected by God from evil people. Number 1, she possesses discernment beyond her years. One of the clearest signs that a woman is protected by God is the gift of spiritual discernment. In the Bible, discernment is often described as the ability to distinguish between good and evil. Hebrews 5:14. A woman protected by God is not easily deceived or manipulated by the schemes of others. Proverbs 2:11 says, "Discretion will protect you, and understanding will guard you." This kind of discernment acts as an internal alarm system, warning her when something or someone is not aligned with God's will. Women like Abigail in 1 Samuel 25 exemplify this trait. Despite being married to a foolish man, Abigail's discernment allowed her to intervene wisely and prevent bloodshed, ultimately earning David's respect and God's favor. A woman with divine protection doesn't just rely on natural wisdom, she is guided by the Holy Spirit, allowing her to see beyond appearances and avoid harmful entanglements. She may sense danger before it arises, feel uneasy around toxic individuals, or be moved by an inner prompting to walk away from relationships that would lead her astray. This spiritual discernment is not about paranoia or mistrust. It is about spiritual sensitivity. The Lord equips her with the wisdom to recognize the wolves in sheep's clothing, keeping her from falling into the traps laid by evil people. Her decisions reflect godly insight, and even when others don't understand her choices, they eventually see that she was spared from harm. Number 2, her life is surrounded by divine interventions. Another sign of God's protection over a woman's life is the unmistakable pattern of divine interventions. Time and time again, she finds herself rescued from situations that could have destroyed her, often in ways that defy logic or human explanation. Psalm 91:11 declares, "For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways." A woman under divine protection often benefits from these angelic assignments. These interventions can manifest as narrowly avoiding harmful relationships, walking away from opportunities that seemed good but were traps, or being unexpectedly removed from dangerous environments. Like the Israelites passing safely through the Red Sea while Pharaoh's army was swallowed up, her path is marked by miraculous deliverances. Even in moments of uncertainty, God reroutes her steps to avoid calamity. Esther's life is a perfect biblical example. Positioned in the Persian palace for such a time as this, Esther 4:14, she was preserved from harm despite the plots of Haman. God orchestrated events so that she not only survived, but became an instrument of deliverance for her people. Similarly, a woman under God's protection may not even realize how many unseen battles God has fought on her behalf until much later. When a woman notices that closed doors ultimately led to better blessings, or betrayals led to stronger positioning, she can recognize the fingerprints of God's protection guiding her journey. Evil people may plot, but their plans are overturned before they can succeed. 3. She experiences peace in the midst of opposition. A remarkable sign of divine protection is supernatural peace, even when surrounded by conflict or enemies. Isaiah 26:3 says, "You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast, because they trust in you." A woman protected by God is not easily shaken by slander, manipulation, or betrayal. Evil people may scheme, but she remains anchored in the peace of God that surpasses all understanding. Philippians 4:7. This peace is not the absence of trouble, but the presence of divine assurance. Like Hannah, who poured out her anguish to God in 1 Samuel 1, a protected woman learns to bring her pain before the Lord rather than retaliate or be consumed by bitterness. Once she releases her burdens in prayer, she walks away in peace, trusting that God will vindicate her and deal with those who mean her harm. Her peace confounds her enemies. People may wonder why she is not broken by rejection, abuse, or injustice. But this tranquility is a spiritual fortress, shielding her heart and mind from the darts of evil. Instead of reacting in anger, she responds with grace, and her calmness becomes a testimony of God's sustaining power. Moreover, her peace acts as a barrier to manipulation. Evil people thrive on stirring chaos, confusion, and emotional turmoil, but a woman grounded in God's peace is harder to manipulate, as she refuses to be drawn into destructive cycles of drama or control. Her serenity frustrates the enemy's attempts to destabilize her life. Number 4. She is surrounded by godly allies and support. God's protection often comes through the presence of righteous, supportive people in a woman's life. Ecclesiastes 4:9-10 reminds us that two are better than one. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. A woman under divine protection doesn't walk alone. She is surrounded by godly friendships, mentors, and spiritual coverings who stand with her in prayer, accountability, and encouragement. Ruth's relationship with Naomi exemplifies this. God positioned Naomi in Ruth's life to guide her steps into Boaz's field and ultimately into her divine destiny. Similarly, a woman protected by God finds herself connected to people who steer her away from evil influences and towards God's purpose. Her friends are not enablers of sin or compromise, but protectors of her calling. Sometimes, God will remove toxic people from her life, no matter how painful, in order to surround her with those who uplift rather than drain her. A woman under divine protection may experience seasons of pruning where relationships are stripped away, but the replacements are healthier, holier, and more aligned with God's plans. Furthermore, God places spiritual authorities, such as pastors, mentors, or prayer warriors, in her life who intercede on her behalf and offer counsel to keep her from falling into traps. Their prayers, wisdom, and accountability act as spiritual shields, covering her from schemes she may not even see. 5. Evil schemes against her ultimately backfire. Finally, a profound sign that a woman is protected by God is that the evil plans against her consistently fail or backfire. Proverbs 26:27 declares, "Whoever digs a pit will fall into it. If someone rolls a stone, it will roll back on them." Time and again, the attacks intended to harm her end up advancing her, strengthening her, or exposing the enemy's plots. Joseph's words in Genesis 50:20 echo this principle. "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." A woman protected by God experiences this divine reversal. Betrayals lead to breakthroughs. False accusations lead to vindication. Rejections lead to redirection into better opportunities. Consider Mary, the mother of Jesus. Though she faced scandal, danger, and attempts on her child's life, God's hand preserved her and her son. Every scheme of Herod failed. God provided dreams, warnings, and safe escape routes to thwart every attempt at evil. Likewise, a woman protected by God may face attacks, but no weapon formed against her prospers. Isaiah 54:17. This pattern becomes evident over time. People may try to discredit her, manipulate her, or harm her, but every plot is exposed, neutralized, or turned for her good. Even setbacks become setups for greater blessings. Her life becomes a testimony that God fights for her, and those who rise against her are ultimately silenced or removed. Being protected by God does not mean a woman lives without challenges or opposition. Rather, it means that no evil formed against her can succeed in the end. She may face attacks, but she is never defeated. Her discernment shields her from traps. Divine interventions reroute her steps. Peace guards her heart. Godly allies surround her, and every scheme against her backfires. Such a woman embodies Psalm 91:4. "He will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and rampart." Her life is not defined by fear of evil, but by faith in God's protection. If you see these signs in a woman's life, or if you desire them for yourself, know that God is faithful to cover, guide, and defend his daughters. His protection is both a privilege and a promise for those who walk in obedience, trust, and surrender to his will. In a world filled with evil, a woman under God's protection shines as a beacon of hope, courage, and divine favor, proving that no darkness can overpower the light of God's love and protection.